Hi there. Hello there. Welcome to the third session, Genessis Models Live, and we're doing the Vickers Wellington. I think it's the Vickers Wellington. Yeah, it's the Vickers Wellington Mark 1AC. It's by Airfix, 1/72 scale. It's what we've been working on in the last two sessions. As you can see, we've built it along quite nicely. Hopefully, we'll get a little bit of spraying going on. So feel free to watch this model in real time being built, and also feel free to throw up any questions and answers that you want to throw up in the comment section, and I'll try and answer them and maybe even sort of work you through some of the problems you might be having. So just sit back, relax, watch me build this, get out one of your builds, get your questions and answers going, and we will get cracking. So let's just get this in the right angle just now. Right, so what we've got, in the last session, it's all pretty sort of built. But what we're going to do now is we're going to sort of work on some canopy areas. So it's like masking up canopies, that kind of cool stuff. So I have got a little bit prepared already. We've got our first bit of canopy just here. Maybe just get this out of the way. Right then, when it comes to this kind of stuff, I mean, first off, get out a cloth, which I did have one. Just a cloth. Right, I want to sort of clean this up a bit. But then although we don't have to worry too much at this stage, because we are going to wax some masking tape, but it's more sort of getting off any sort of grease, so the masking tape will stick. I'm using good old Tamiya's. I'm using the 6mm for this because I mean you can basically sort of almost sort of measure it up and just get the closest one that fits, that will fit the whole of it. Tear out a nice length that's going to actually go all the way across. This one's a real nice, easy one. What you want to do is you could sort of feel the raised sort of detail on this, right? So I just want to take one corner and sort of get it so it just goes right up perfectly, right where you want the masking tape to actually be. So what we're basically doing is we're eliminating having to cut at least this one length going across here, right? And see how I kind of went from point 1 to point 2, right? I didn't sort of like go across slowly. I literally, let's just show you that again, pull it back. I'm literally sort of pulling it nice. It's just a way of sort of basically you can pull the masking tape nice and straight, and if you get it from you start point A, right? Take it to point B, right? And everything in the middle should be all nice and straight. Right, and then we just want to press that down nice and tight. Although just going on about going straight, I haven't got that quite straight. Now we do. So just push that down, make sure it's all good. Right, and then this is sort of like the tricky part where a lot of people have sort of problems. Yeah, going out getting pre-cut canopy mask can help you out. But it's one of these skills where you could cut your own canopy masks out and give it some time, give it some experience, and you know what, you'll be doing it just as good as any sort of pre-cut canopy masks. So what you want to do, I mean, really, at this point, it's sort of like I've got some lights up here. You can put it up to the light, and this masking tape, you could see through it. So then you could sort of, with one hand, hold it up, with the other hand, sort of cut it. It's a bit hard to show on camera, which is why I like to use another little technique, which sort of shows you on camera, but also gives you another option. I'm just getting out the old phone just here. We're then going to pull down, turn on the torch, tip this over, and then you can see real nice and clearly where you've got to cut. Now it does pay to go out and get a really nice good new blade on your blade handle, right? And it's just a case of you can see so clearly through this masking tape where you've got to cut, and it's just take your time, nice new blade, and you can just cut along where it needs to be cut. Right. It's a little bit harder going around curves, which is why I'm sort of showing you this one first. Right. But there are other techniques for going around the curvy ones. See, I'm used to putting this up to the light, and this one's quite, I'm trying to be careful because it's quite a straight, long, thin bit. I don't want to sort of cut too far up here and press down and bend in it. You know, I want to sort of keep it nice and tight, because the last thing you want to do when it comes to canopy masks is make mistakes. Cracking a canopy mask means basically getting a new model, or maybe going off to the manufacturers, give them an email, and sometimes, you know, they'll just send you out a new canopy for pretty much free. I think sometimes they just charge maybe postage and packaging, or even just like slipping with the blade, and you slip and scratch it right onto the glass part. That can be a pain. So yeah, you do need to be sort of careful with these canopies, because once you've broken them, I mean, there isn't really any sort of way of fixing them. It is just you've got to get a new one, pretty much anyway. So as you can see, it's quite a timely process. A process that, you know, you just got to be careful, be patient, precise, concentrate. Right. There we go. I think I'm almost there. And then we can start doing some peeling. Right here. So we just should be able to just nicely peel this across without, if you start seeing it coming up, the parts that you don't want to, just be a bit more careful, like I did a little bit just there. Or even if you need to come back in with the blade and maybe give it a little cut where it's sort of playing up. Right, let's get this out of the way, turn the light off. I'll just quickly read some of your messages, see if anyone's got any questions and answers. No, not at the moment. Just gonna get this last little bit. Pull that out. There you go. Nicely sort of home cooked canopy going on just there. Just as good as any sort of canopy mask that you can go out and buy. Right. So then what we want to do, because we know we've got this masked up, we're going to now glue this in. So we want to definitely clean this with the rag on the inside part of our windows. Right, because once this is glued in, right, we ain't going to be able to clean these inside window areas again. So definitely make sure they're clean, and then sort of basically be careful in handling it from now on. One touch on the inside, and that is it. You've left a thumbprint. So just bringing in our model here. Now this is personal choice, but there is different types of glues we can now use, right? It is sort of a personal preference. For a beginner, I would recommend you go out and get a PVA type glue. Something like your Formula 560. What else we got? Micro Crystal Clear, right? That kind of stuff's good for gluing down canopies, because if you make a mistake, it's only PVA glue. You can always peel it back up and stuff. But over the years, I've found using Tamiya extra thin cement is risky, but I just got the experience now to sort of use this, and I don't really worry about making a mistake at all these days now. But yeah, I mean, you just want to sort of make sure. I like to sort of just brush a bit off the side to make sure the brush isn't loaded with Tamiya extra thin cement, because a big blob will go a bit too far, and if it gets underneath our masking tape that we've just done, that's where you're going to have sort of nasty bits of damage. You just want to be touching the sides with a non-overloaded brush, and then you don't want to be sort of touching with your fingers, because it can quite easily sort of leave a fingerprint mark. So I like to just I mean anything, I'm just using some pliers here, but something that you can sort of maybe just press it down a bit and just slowly working my way across, just lightly touching the edges. I'm mainly touching the actual fuselage more than the canopy, the glass part. It's just a bit more forgiving. Again, I'm just pressing this down a bit because it needs a little bit of a pressing, without using my actual fingers. And then just carefully working my way around. There we go. Just looking, see if it's in. No steps. Double checking that. We've got a little bit of a fray bit here, so I'm just going to cut this. There we go. And there you go. Nice canopy, nicely glued in. But as I say, if you're new to the hobby, it's probably best if you use Micro Crystal Clear. I just like using Tamiya extra thin cement because it melts the two plastics and it gives you a much more sort of better join, and it glues quicker and faster and stronger, and I just personally like it. But if you do make mistakes, you're in for a lot of trouble. Just gonna look at some of your messages. Right, we're going to move along with the actual cockpit area of the canopy. This one is a lot more trickier, right, because it's got a curve to it, lots of different shapes. I'm just cleaning up any potential grease. There we go. Probably see what size we want to fit on here. I'm kind of thinking the next one up, I do believe it's 10 mil. Pull out a nice bit, and then we're just going to run this along one edge that we know is going to be good. Alright, I'm slowly wrapping that around. Alright, is the lighting a bit too much? Try that, that might be a bit better. Maybe that one. I don't know if that looks a bit better. But anyway, we want to sort of cut these ends off, so I'm just getting some scissors. Just like so. And again, let's get out the old torch on your phone, because it's such a nice bright light. Right. So just press this down, make sure it's all good and down, preferably no creases. Maybe use your nail to sort of push it into any recessed areas, that kind of thing. Right, and then we can do some cutting. Which is a little tricky to get the light, get you on camera. Right. I mean, even when you come to like a curvy bit, like I'm just doing now, it's the same as doing straight edges. You're just sort of starting in one corner and just slowly, lightly pushing the blade, following whatever lines or curves there are. Right. The key to this is, you know, a brand spanking new blade every single time. Right. There's nothing worse than having a partly used blade and it's just like ripping up and tearing the actual masking tape. That's when you have your problems. So I'm just trying to get this nice and straight and good. Ooh. See, I think even this blade's getting a bit dull. There we go. I mean, I know this is live, so you don't get the best quality footage because it, you know, going up live on the internet and everything. There's definitely plenty of videos I've done, step-by-step video builds, where it's all in HD, all on the Genessis Models website. This is a bit of a timely process because, I mean, there is a lot of canopy work to do. we go, I've done some of these now. As you can see, I've broken this down into halves. Right, because got a nice sort of flat bit going across here, but then we have got a bit of all sorts of curves and curvy bits on the next bit. Plus it prevents creases. I mean, if I came along with one big piece of masking tape for this one piece with all the curves it's got, we just have all sorts of creases going on this one. Right, so that's sort of like the back part of this. So we're going to get another piece now, and yeah, because there is so much of a curve and twist to it, you don't want to be having creases in your masking tape. So I mean, we could go off and just get little bits like so, pick one sort of frame, so to speak, sort of like what I've just done with this one frame just here. Press that down, right, and then we can sort of cut out this one single frame, rather than trying to get a piece to go all the way, get all the frames in one go and end up with creases. I know it is time consuming, but it's the best way to get it done. There we go. Then we pull that up, and yeah, I've just got that one little panel just done there. Right, and yeah, I don't know about you, I get sort of sweaty fingers, so you might want to sort of clean the canopy, because any sort of grease and sweat off your hands is going to hinder the masking tape from actually gluing. Sorry, not gluing, sticking down. Right, so let's try. I think we could get this in one go, these top two. Just get it a nice starting point. I think I'm going to change my blade as well, because I haven't just changed it. I knew I changed it a bit ago, but it can really help having brand new blades on. There we go. Trying to limit the creasing. I'm trying to just sort of like use my nail to get the creases out. Okay, let's get a new blade out. I like to use the number 11 blades from Swan Morton. Good thing to stop yourself from cutting yourself all the time. Just get some needle nose pliers. Use it just to pop off the old blade, get out the new blade. This way, I'm just not holding the blade. You're not going to accidentally cut yourself. Let's put this in here to be disposed of. Maybe back in here as well. Right, nice fresh blades. This should hopefully cut even better. Right. You'll know because you just hardly have to even touch the masking tape. Yeah, so much more better. Doesn't start to tear up or anything. There we go. And there's a little one here where the masking tape nicely went over, so we may as well get that as well. And then let's do the opposite side. Feel free for any of you who are joining, ask any questions, or maybe you want me to show you something in particular. Any personal questions, tips? Ooh. Should probably put my phone on silent when I'm doing this, but hey. So fingers crossed, we'll pull this away and we'll have this part masked up. Get in there, get in there. So as you can see, I mean, when we do this live compared to when I do this like normal filming and editing, it is a timely process compared to when I'm normally on camera. It's just, I'll show you a bit and it's just turn the camera off and then I'll be at this for like however long. Just trying to tidy this bit up because it's not to my liking. Let's give it another clean. There we go. Just this last one, just there, should finish this off. And then we'll try a different type of glue for gluing this one in. You can see the differences then. It's probably best actually when it comes to these canopies to have at least, I like with the cockpit area anyway, to have at least one part of the canopy is done with like micro crystal clear, because if there is a problem inside, then we can at least remove one. So much easier to remove a canopy that's been glued down with micro crystal clear than it is with one that's been glued down with Tamar extra thin cement. I've actually had to do that in the past once, and you know, you are literally just snapping canopies off, and it's yeah, can be quite bad. And it might be just for something silly like a hair or something has like got inside and it just looks a bit nasty inside. So yeah, so I'm just making sure this is clean on the inside of the canopy. I mean, you could buff this up actually at this stage using like Tamiya buffing compounds, but it's only 1/72 scale and I'm not a big fan on 1/72 scale doing all fancy polishing and stuff. Not if the canopies are pretty good, which this one is from Airfix. It's pretty sort of happy with that. Let's get this light off. Then a bit of, oh, there it is, our micro crystal clear. Give it a good shake. Right. And then get some cotton wool, not cotton wool, but some cocktail sticks. Right, and what we're going to do is we're just basically going to run this just sort of touch the edges, right? Touching those edges so you can just see a little white smear, not blobs, a white smear where you're going to contact the actual model itself. Right, any blobs are going to ooze out, so you don't want blobs, right? And then just give it a couple of seconds, right? Not too long that it dries, but if you give it a couple of seconds, it'll start to get tackier, because PVA glue, when you first kind of try and stick it down, it doesn't really stick. It needs a little bit of time to start drying, get tacky, and then it'll have some bite to it. So that should be probably enough time, and then we just want to very carefully pop this in position straight away, and that should hopefully be good. Now, if we've had any sort of bits of glue go on to areas you don't want glue being on the inside, it should be okay, because it will dry, as it says on the tin, nice and crystal clear. We've had a little bit of oozing out, so some cheap cotton wool buds that are a bit moist, all right, nice and easy. We can just wipe away any sort of oozed out bits of glue. And there we go. That is cool. And that'll probably take a little bit longer to actually dry, so to speak, than like your Tamiya extra thin cement, but it is quite strong once it does actually fully dry. We've got some more canopy bits to do. I do want to show you, I know some people, they do find it hard, canopies, do you know the actual MG turrets, because they're so round, like a ball shape almost, they are very sort of hard to mask up. So there is a nice little technique how to do this, but I'm not going to do it now. It's in the spray stage where we sort of spray these up, because there's a different way of masking them up, so it's not so hard, right? But I've got a little bit more masking up, so I think I'll just change the subject a bit and do some masking there. What we've got at the back, got some gaps just here, right, where we just sort of bring the end section onto our fuselage. It's only a little bit of a gap, but it can be a bit of an eyesore. Real nice, easy technique to get rid of that is some good old plastic putty. This is by Vallejo. Not very expensive. Pretty much any online shop's going to have this, and all you need is cotton wool. But what we're going to do is we're just going to use, because it's got such a nice applicator on the front, which is nice and pointy, we can target exactly where we want it to be. So there's no coming in with a spatula and trying to spread it on. It's going exactly where it wants to be, nowhere else. All right, cotton wool bud, you know, fairly nice and moist, and then we just wipe this across like so, removing most of the excess. I mean, one swipe and we're basically almost done, and hopefully you can just sort of maybe see some white in there. I know the cameras, live shows aren't very good on quality, but you know, we've got a nice white line in that gap just there. I totally love that technique. It saves so much work. In the past, I used to go off and get what was it, Mr. Surfacer or some green putty. He'd sort of paste it in there, paint it in there, and then you'd wait for it to dry. Then you'd sort of sand it, or maybe you'd come along with what is it, some cellulose thinners, and sort of wipe that away in a way, and oh, so much more tricky, whereas this is just so easy. Let's wipe that again. Boom. There you go. Nice and tidy. Right, we've got another one just here. Maybe use what's left on the end of my cotton wool bird. Yeah, it's taking care of that. And then it's just a case of just sort of checking around where you got your join lines, wings into the fuselage. Right, I've got a little bit over the back of here. I think I mentioned this actually in the second video I did on this, if you've seen it. There we go. Just a case of, you know, just using the Mark 1 eyeball and just double checking everywhere for any of these little nasty sort of join areas that's left a bit of a gap. I got a bit in here. Really does pay to double check, and it is this easy. I mean, this isn't sort of a timely process. It's so quick and easy to do. It just hides any of those little mistakes. Be careful not to get it on your fingers and then touch the actual model and then rub some on there like I've done just here. If you get it while it's still wet, you can probably rub it like I am with a cotton wool bud that's a bit sort of damp. Okay, looking good just there. So I suppose what we want to do now is I've got another canopy piece to do. So although I've shown you this already, if you want to ask any questions while I work through it. Oh, someone's asking if I'll ever build the F-14 by Tamiya or the Kitty Hawk SU-34. Okay, to be honest, I do like the look of the new Tamiya F-14, to be fair, but I have built a few F-14s in the past. There is a nice step-by-step of the Hobby Boss one on the Genessis Models website, which is only a couple of years old. So, like, I don't think I'd be building one of them sometime soon, but the SU-34, I wouldn't mind doing a German jet at some point, maybe. I forgot what the manufacturer is called now. There's one that does loads of nice Russian Jets. Was it Hong Kong Hobbies? Or was it Ming? Oh, I forgot what they were now. They've done some nice ones. They did a nice F-15 as well. But their kits look absolutely amazing. I've actually got this up to the light at the moment, so I'm not on camera, rather than using the phone. I find it easier just holding it up to the light. Okay, see if this peels away nicely. Needs a little bit of a trim just there. There we go. Boom. There we go. Another canopy piece. That one was a little bit easier. Yes, it's Great Wall Hobbies. That was the one. Thanks for letting me know that. I think I did the F-15. I did the Tamiya one, but I think I started that just before the F-15 Great Wall Hobby one came out, which is a bit of a shame because it did look good. But to be fair, the Tamiya one's rather nice as well. I'll just clean that up. So let's whack this one in. Do it nice and quick and get Tamiya extra thin cement on it. It fits absolutely perfectly, so shouldn't be any issues. When it does come to canopies, it really is good to make sure it fits as perfect as possible, because you don't want to be messing around filling and sanding around a canopy. There we go. Just a little bit of a push. And we just hold it a little bit. There we go. Now fingers crossed, that's all the canopy's done. Nope, there's just a little last one on top. This little dome thing. Oh, that's a good point actually. I don't know if you've seen these sort of new pliers I've been messing about with. They're by Despair or something like that. Single blade nippers 2.0. They're basically pliers that's got a blade on it, so it really cuts so well. So when it comes to cutting your canopy bits off sprues and stuff, it's so much more nicer with these nippers because they just slice through it. If you use sort of your normal sort of standard, say, cutters like these, because they don't cut so sharply, they can sort of start making it sort of splinter a little bit. It sort of shatters minutely by where you've done the cut. So they're not the best way of cutting them off, right? Because normally you probably want to sort of cut a fair distance away. I don't need this piece, so you know, I'd probably sort of cut it so there's quite a bit of the sprue still on the piece, as you can see just there, and then I'll slowly sort of cut away at it and bring it down. But with these, I mean, you can just go straight up to the actual canopy piece and have it virtually almost sort of cut perfectly. But I still need to, you know, go off and just double check and give it a little bit of a trim with a blade, just like so. Get it both sides. Just being very careful of trimming off the actual bit of the sprue, because it is very sort of a fiddly one, this piece is. So you want to be very sort of careful. But let's test fit this first. And that's fitting really well, actually. Ooh, that's just nice. Very nice. In fact, yes. Okay. I think that'll do. I'm actually going to glue this one in straight away. Slightly touching the sides with Tammy Extra Thin Cement. Well, I'm sort of touching the actual fuselage and then just letting the capillary action just suck that in to the actual clear part. I'm going to let that dry, but what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to use good old smelly Humbrol Mascal. Just another way of doing some canopies. Alright. I mean, this isn't normally like the best way because you don't really get a sharper edge depending on, you know, what you like with a paintbrush. Now I'm gonna not use a crappy old paintbrush. I know a lot of people say use a crappy old paintbrush for this, but I mean, if you want to paint this on nicely, you want a sort of an half decent paintbrush, and you don't have to worry about it ruining your paintbrush, because all you got to do is just make sure you clean it up really quickly afterwards. Right, you can clean it off in water, you know, fairly quick and easy, and it does all come off. Right, so I'm just trying to paint these little bits on as neatly as possible. It does dry rather quick, so you can put a second coat on pretty quick afterwards. And if you make a mistake as well, I mean, don't worry, we can always come back later after it's dried, and it's no trouble at all to sort of cut it and peel it, which I'll probably show you in a bit because I have made a mistake. Just working my way around this top bit of glass. If you can sort of come in with a normal sort of coat the first time round, and then the second time round I like to sort of come in quite thick and just start building it up real sort of nice and heavy. That way you sort of protect your canopy from spraying a lot more. Right, there we go. So we want to leave that to dry for a bit. So just quickly, just simple water. I mean, you don't need any fancy solutions. This stuff, water, and then just sort of wipe around the kitchen paper towel, and it does really sort of come up real nice and easy. I mean, if you're not 100% sort of, you know, want to take the chance, I mean, you can just clean it in water, and then there's all sorts of brush cleaning products out there. Do you know what? I got this one years ago, Aqua. It was somewhere in Japan. I can't remember who made it or whatever, but there are a couple of other products in here that I like to use. Again, we've got some Eco Remover. That's good for cleaning up your paintbrushes as well. Again, that was from Japan. They seem to have some good stuff in Japan, but I mean, really, you know, everybody can get their hands on this. Good old the Masters brush cleaner and preserver. Get these absolutely anywhere, and it's basically just a soap, and we can just get some water and just sort of put just circles inside here, and you make up a bit of a soapy sort of consistency going on, and it just works into the brush. Cleans it all up, and then at the same time it then preserves it. Give it a little bit of a wash in the water. Right, I like to leave a little bit of the soapy stuff behind just to shape it, and when that dries it'll help hold the shape of the paintbrush. Really good for your Winsor & Newton type paintbrushes or your really expensive ones. Right, I want to get another coat on that, and we might be ready for some spraying. Right. I mean, personally, I don't normally like to use this stuff. It just doesn't seem as precise as using masking tape. I do like to show you guys, you know, all the different ways. There we go. Let's get the top of here again. You sort of have to be quick with brushing this because it dries so quickly that you can be painting it. If you paint around too long, it starts to dry and then it starts to peel, and your brushwork gets a bit shoddy because of it. There we go. That should be good now. I'll just clean my brush again. Somebody wants to know if Mascol and the Vallejo liquid mask, is there any difference? I mean, not really. When it comes to like liquid masks, the one thing you've got to watch out for really is if it's got ammonia in it, I do believe. Because I know some people, they like to dip their canopies in like a gloss, or they like to dip them with the floor cleaners or something like that. And the problem is, if your Mascal has ammonia in it, which a lot of them do, basically you'll paint the mascal onto your canopy that's been dipped, and the ammonia inside the canopy mask will start to sort of dissolve and eat away at your whatever gloss that you've put on the canopy, and it makes it all go mushy and horrible. So it is good to the ingredients and see if it does say ammonia, and just to kind of remember, you know, have you dipped your canopy or not, which is another reason why I prefer to polish my canopies rather than to actually dip them. I find it's a better finish, and you don't have problems with mascal or anything like that. I think it's only mascal that I've got. Yeah, because I don't really use them that much. But they're all basically the same, they all stink. There we go. Right, so that needs to dry, and then I think what we need to do now is sort of start bunging up these areas here, ready for some spraying if we've got time left. Yeah, Fox is saying about it affecting enamel paints more than acrylic glosses. Well, to be fair, I mean, ammonia is going to sort of eat through pretty much anything. It's mainly, I know a lot of people like to use, well, they used to use was like your clear, your multi-surface wax floor cleaner, and they used to dip their canopies into this stuff, and it's saying in the instructions to clean up your floor cleaner, use an ammonia-based product, and that will clean it up. Which is why if your canopy mask has got ammonia in it, it's going to affect that type of floor cleaner. You know, it's just the way it works when it comes to canopies. Oh, sounds like okay, Fox. If you've dipped your canopy and then you put mascal on, I mean, yes, it's probably possibly going to eat through to your gloss. So if it has, your best bet is to actually just kind of wipe away the actual. You can go off, and there's all sorts of thinners. I mean, you could use IPA, or you basically just clean off all of the actual floor cleaner, the gloss coat that you've put on here, that you've dipped it in. If you clean that off, you can bring it back to as if it had no nothing on there, no gloss coats and nothing, and that would be one way of getting around it if you do have that problem. But it all depends if you've got ammonia in your mascal or your whatever product you've used for your liquid mask. So as you can see, I mean, this is already pretty sort of dry, which is what I like. Right then, I did make a bit of a mistake just here, so I'm just going to get my blade, and just like with our, you know, canopy masking, I'm just going to sort of cut along here, and you need a sharp blade, and then you can basically just cut away where you've made any sort of mistakes. Right, and that should be good. So let's try and sort this out in here. Always good to keep some foam about, right, and sort of maybe you could sort of get the general size cut out first. Right, maybe just cut off this corner. Right. As long as it's sort of a general sort of bigger size, you can then most of the time be able to just come in, squeeze it in, and there you go. I mean, that just kind of compacts in there. There we go. And then we want to sort of get one to go in that little hole there as well. So let's just again cut out another bit there. Oops. Right. There we go. Just pushing it in. I mean, what you've got here, I mean, you've got like a little bit of a ledge that we've already painted. I mean, you could come along, use Mascal on these areas. Again, check for the ammonia. Basically, you can use some Mascal on here, or you could use blue tack just to finish it off, or you could just spray it, and then after you've sprayed, you could just come along and just touch up with a paintbrush. It's up to you, but what we've done here, we've basically stopped any spray paint getting inside into the cockpit area. We need to do the same at the rear, just here, and we're going to need to do the same in here. Probably use blue tack along here, maybe even some masking tape as well, a combination. I think I'll leave the wheel wells because I might actually spray the whole thing, then mask up around the wheel wells and then do the wheel wells at the end maybe. But we'll see. But one last thing before we go, because really we're going to be jumping into the spray stage of this when we get to our next live session. So last thing I want to leave you with is good product to get hold of is some IPA. We've used this in the Genessis models homebrew thinners, the homebrew airbrush cleaner. You know, go to Genessis Models website, under the tutorials, you'll find out how to make your own homebrew thinners and stuff. And one of the main products that we talk about in that is IPA, which I've just decanted into this little pot here. It's basically alcohol. It's what you use to kind of clean your glasses with, that kind of thing. And what we're going to do, kitchen paper towel, start off with, right? Make your kitchen paper towel nice and moist, and what we're doing is we're just cleaning the model. So we're just going to sort of rub this down all over. Good idea to have gloves on as well at this stage, because you're just going to be reapplying fingerprints, right? And the alcohol, the rubbing alcohol, is basically just it's going to get up any kind of grease, fingerprints, right? We're going to be rubbing away any sort of hairs or dust or any sort of nasties, and this is just going to make your surface absolutely lovely and perfect for when we actually start spraying, because there's so many different sort of contaminants that you can get on your model that makes your actual spray work not stick very well to the model. So it's always good to clean it up. I then like to finish off after sort of wiping it down. I like to get out the good old sort of anti-static cloth, so make sure we get up all the bits of any sort of fibers, or even if anything left over from the kitchen paper towels. And again, we've got a nice perfect surface ready for spraying, which we're going to be tackling in the next live session. So we've been at it for an hour. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. Thanks for any sort of questions that we had and anything like that. Just checking if anyone wants to get a last one in there. Nope. I think we're all good. So yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed that. We'll be back again next Friday. We start at 6, and then we just sort of, we could go till 10 o'clock at night, or just an hour like we've done tonight, because I've got to get back, and me and the missus are having a takeaway. But yeah, anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed that. Go check out the Genessis Models website, check out all the other videos and everything else we're on about. And if you haven't seen this live, well, it should be up on YouTube as well for you to watch at your leisure. So again, my name is Bob Waldron, this is Genessis Models, and I hope you've enjoyed.